What's up, good people? As y'all can see, you know what? I forgot to do something, y'all. Give me 2 seconds, but what's up to everybody, man, that's watching us here on screen? As you can see, no intro. You see myself and Kenyon, so y'all already know what that means. Still table time. And also, let me mention this. I do apologize for the last couple weeks. Life happens. Just had a couple things, I had to take care of. Y'all know, a lot of y'all, if you follow me on Twitter, I would post, hey, not gonna get to the show tonight, yada yada yada. But apologize for that, because I know everybody doesn't watch Twitter. Everybody doesn't go to Twitter. So I know some people were concerned. I got to give a shout out to the ladies of Still a Nation, man. Debbie reaching out, and they were kind of concerned amongst their group, like, hey, where's Sim? And then when she told them where I was, so appreciate that, man. That's love right there. So I definitely appreciate that from y'all. But yeah, I'm back. Like I said, the SteelTable is overdue. We're about 2 weeks late, but we're gonna get to it right now. Give me 1 second, y'all. I've been rushing today. I didn't even send the link out to Leonard or a couple other people that I share it with via text. But yeah, we can get started, man. So as you can see, Kenyon is on screen. Just give y'all a quick rundown of what we're going to talk about briefly today. I'm going to set my timer on my phone so we don't go too, trying to stay within an hour. But we're basically going to talk about, real quick, we'll give our thoughts on the Super Bowl, man. Just keep that light. Talk a little bit about how we felt about how the season transpired, what we expected. Talk a little bit about what we think they need to do in the offseason. And then Kenya will share with you guys a few prospects in those areas that we talk about. So there you have it. So I will pass it to Kenyon first, man. What was your overall thoughts of the Super Bowl? Did you enjoy it? That's one. And the second question I got for you, which I think I already know how you're going to answer it, but I know they're going to ask us. Was that a bad call against Juju at the end of that drive? I know they want to know.
Well, to speak on Super Bowl, it was cool. It wasn't like it was a cool game. A friend of mine is a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, and he's hurting right now.
They hurt.
But it was a cool game. It wasn't anything where I would say it's memorable for plays that I saw in the game that I think will stick out in my brain 5 years from now. You know what I'm saying? It won't be like that. But cool game. Congratulations to Kansas City. They earned it. Some people say they didn't. But as I told my friend, you guys were up at halftime, and basically all you had to do was close the game. And so I kind of feel for him. I will say Jalen Hurts played great, except for the one turnover that he had. I will also say that reason why Kansas City really won the game is because Philly could not sack Patrick Mahomes, and they were supposed to have the number one sack team in the league, and they couldn't get to him. And if you can't get to a Howard quarterback, he's going to pick you apart. So he kind of picked him apart. They tried to play a combination zone man. It's so funny. I was watching the game, and there were points in the game where I really thought about Sim because we always text. And when I saw Kelsey getting wide open in the middle of the field, in my mind, I'm going, like, I've seen this before. Like, I know exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? And Philly didn't adjust to it. So, they paid the price. And you can't give up a 20-yard scramble with a Howard quarterback on 3rd and 15 and play man coverage thinking he's not going to run. I'm like, I don't know what they were doing on that play. So as far as the call goes, to me, they lost. That's where they lost the game. They lost the game on the scramble. It wasn't the holding call. The scramble killed him because he got all the way, into field goal range. They were already in field goal range. So when he made that scramble. So to me, that's where the game was lost. As far as the holding call goes, it's holding on every call. By the letter of the law, yeah, it was holding. You should call it. But refs normally don't call it. They kind of let that play out. And I think that's where Philly fans were upset. But you really shouldn't be upset about that call. You should be upset about the play before, two plays before, when he scrambled for that big game. That was the game. Didn't matter. That was the game. They really could have basically just ran it out and just kicked the field goal in. They just got closer. So, Kansas City won it. Just adds to Mahomes' legacy. And as of today, he's the best quarterback in the world. And we have to get through them to get to where we want to get to. So that's a future situation. So, like I said, it was a good Super Bowl. Wasn't great. I don't know if I'll remember it like that. And just congratulations to Kansas City. And that's really my thoughts. The holding call, I'm pretty sure you agree with me on that one, Sim. It's kind of like they had to call it. It's just, it's by the letter of the law they had to call it. They should have let him play, but the letter of the law they had to call it. So.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of with Kenya. I mean, it was a good Super Bowl. And I know some people are going to say, oh, how was it not great? It was 38-30. Well, it's kind of like what Kenya said. It wasn't a whole lot of wow moments. If that, Mahomes was Mahomes. It's funny, man, because I've worked with a couple of Philly fans and just people in the area. And just, amongst the people I work with, we were kind of saying, who you think going to win? And I said, look, I think the Eagles, top to bottom, on paper, defense and offense, is a better team, but I can't bet against Mahomes, man. I just can't do it. And he did what he had to do in that last drive. And like Kenyon said, maybe they were playing passive because they're thinking he's not going to run, but you can't. The moment he came back in the game, you have to protect everything. You can't just turn your back and run. And here's another thing, Kenya. And we were kind of texting this back and forth. There's two other plays where they lost that game. Sky Moore, anyone? Tony, anyone? They ran the exact same play, one on the right, one on the left, because they were in man coverage. And it's funny because me and Kenya, we always talk about this. Like sometimes I was like, man, we should have ran man. And Kenya will say, yeah, well, sometimes you run a risk if you run man that close. I mean, and what was Slay? Like them dudes just they just turn to the side and run. Like on the one play, you saw Slay saying, I'm going with him. Nobody is looking to see, and they just pivot. And it was beautifully executed, man, especially the first one, because they kept running the motion. Get down there. They run Tony in motion again. Boom, quick pivot out. It's wide open. And then to add insult to injury, they come down and do it again with Sky Moore. And it's like, dog, like my man, Mr. Winningham said in here, they got out schemed. Plain and simple. It was holding. And it's funny that we talk about Juju kind of being a benefactor, that being that he was an ex-Steeler. And I don't know why people out there killing him, Kenya. Like, listen, he don't play with us no more. Let it go. Like, why do we always wish dudes the worst when they no longer Steelers? Juju was good to Pittsburgh. He went to Kansas City. Listen, it's a business. I'm not mad at him at all. And it was good to see him start getting off in that fourth quarter. Clearly, they had a matchup that they found. They went to Juju like 5-6 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's good to see that.
Yeah.
Hey, I like the kid, man. Like, I don't have no ill will towards him. He won a Super Bowl. So what? But it was holding. And it's cool that Bradbury actually came out and admitted. He said, yeah, I tugged the jersey. I thought I was going to get away with it. And he did it twice. That's the thing I think why they called it. He kind of held it twice. But would I have made that call? I might have let it slide. I don't know. But there you have it. Patrick Mahomes, they won the Super Bowl. Andy Reid called a heck of a game. I mean, I don't think any of us is surprised at the fact that they were able to do what they did. I thought Philly had a shot, but there you have it.
And to be honest, I thought Philly controlled the game. Like, if you watch time possession and things that were going on in the game, they really controlled the game. It was just, I think that's why I won't remember the Super Bowl, because the defenses were not good on both sides. Kansas City's defense is not a great defense. What they do is but they have playmakers. They have people that will make plays to essentially balance out their offense in a lot of ways. They don't have a great defense. They just have an okay defense. As me and Sim was texting back and forth, the person we scouted, Nick Bolton, who I told Sim was what Devin Bush should have been, and he looked like he's all on the field. Man. And as far as getting on Juju is funny. For me, for me, Sim, it was kind of weird because it's almost like I was happy he won because he from SC. So to me, that's just another chip. You know what I mean? In my mind. But if you're going to get on Juju, then you got to get on Javon Hargrave. They both were ex-Steelers, and they both had a chance to win Super Bowl. And Javon Hargrave didn't do anything in the game, that was really the key, because Javon Hargrave has really been their best defensive lineman the last 2 years. And the fact that they couldn't get any pressure, and you didn't hear Hassan Reddick's name at all in the game. And to me, I always tell people that was the fatal flaw that they had, because but you're in the catch-22. They had nobody that could cover Kelsey, and I texted Simmons. Me and Sim were texting back on the play where Kelsey pushed off, because he did push him off. He pushed off, and he got wide open, and I said, why do they keep putting these little cornerbacks trying to cover Kelsey? Because they can't. So he is a matchup issue. But I'll say this: the Philly tight end was doing the same thing to them.
Yeah, he was getting off.
And so it's the teams were even. I agree with Sam. The teams were evenly matched. The difference is one team had Patrick Mahomes, and the other team had Jalen Hurts. You can look at it any way you want to look at it, but Patrick Mahomes has magic in it. He got a little bit of, as me and Sim text back and forth, he got a little bit of MJ in him, man. He's got a little bit of that in him, man, where when the moment comes, he's about the moment. And that's a separator. And when you hobble on a bad ankle and you can run and you still run, that was the game. And as Sim said, that motion, those plays when they were wide open, I mean, that's bad tape to look at. That's bad tape you got to go back and look at in the offseason if you feel it. You have to watch that. How they were wide open. How people were peeking in the backfield. And Kansas City did the same thing when Philly got that long game. Yeah. He looked right into the backfield. And me and Sim texted me like, what is he doing? This is wide open.
When they threw it down the step, right. I don't know what he was doing.
What are you doing? So they were supposedly great defenses. They weren't great defenses. And that's just it. Okay, Super Bowl. Give it about a 7, 6.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. Pretty crazy. But that's all we got on the Super Bowl. We'll get into the offseason stuff right away. I did set my little timer. I'm not using the normal software, as you guys can see, so that's why it's not on screen. It's just on my phone. So let's just get right into it. But we do have a donation, man. And actually, in this software, I can throw a round of applause if y'all give me a second. It's going to cut off the little music that y'all are hearing in the background. But let me turn up the round of applause real quick. Appreciate the donation there from Y Diggy. And let's read his comment. He says, and I'll put it on screen, we have to have a conversation about this offense not having hots. Don't know if that's on MC or MT, wanting to keep it simple. But that's bad in my opinion. So what he's talking about, actually, I have to go back and watch the full interview, but I think Kenny Pickett said this when he was on Pat McAfee's show, I think, or maybe somewhere.
No, it was actually Fryermuth.
Oh, it's Fryermuth. Okay, got you. So yeah, I couldn't remember who said it, but I definitely remember when it happened. See, I told y'all I've been gone for 2 weeks as far as keeping up with y'all. I'll give my quick thoughts on it, man, and I'm sure Kenya will chime in. At the surface, I don't like the idea. I will have to hear it maybe and to see what context they said it in. Because if you want to give benefit of the doubt, because I saw somebody in the chat say, yeah, you want to keep it simple for your rookie. I get all of that. But, I mean, listen, it's high school kids run hot routes, bro. I've seen in the right state here in Pennsylvania, down in Texas, these big-time football states is middle school kids can throw a hot route. So I ain't feeling that. Honestly, Kenyon and Chad, I'm having a tough time believing that is really the case. And not saying I don't believe who said it. I'm just like, that can't be the case. There's no way. There's no way it means that to the literal sense that they don't have any hots.
Right.
However, we go back and look at some of that film. And remember all them times I was complaining about the one read? It was evident. You can see it. In some of those plays, you can see that maybe Pickett won't even thinking about, all right, that's covered. Let me look over here. To answer the question, why Diggy, I can't say who it is, whether it's Coach Tomlin or Matt Canada. I mean, if I want to go with the offensive coordinator, I would say Matt Canada, but then I also would have to believe that Mike Tomlin is fully aware of that. I mean, it'd be like, think about if you all were head coaches and you notice that your offensive coordinator not allowing any hot routes. It's up to you to start saying something. So I got to put blame on both of them. And yeah, I think that's horrible if that was the case. I don't think you ease in your rookie that way. I mean, he did it in college. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not telling him to be Peyton Manning out there, but I don't know. That's just my gut reaction to it.
I'm with you. I kind of have it's hard for me to believe that, but I also have to look at it like, yeah, he did it in college, but it was a different offense.
True.
Yeah, he did it in college, but he had way more freedom. He was in that system for 4 years, so they knew exactly how to expand on his IQ and knowledge of that offense. So they kind of, he had more freedom. And I don't think he didn't have as much freedom this year, especially with them putting him in the second half of the game. And then from there, just going with him the whole time. And so how much can you really install within that period? How much confidence are you going to give to your quarterback? He has to kind of show you in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I believe you'll see an expansion of maybe in the offseason. And then if you don't, then the offensive coordinator won't be there next year after that. Because the reality is, with a lot of people have their issues with Canada and all that stuff, and I do and you do, but I'm going to listen to Mr. Rooney. And Mr. Rooney says we didn't make a change because we didn't want to have our quarterback with a new OC for next year, trying to rebuild the system. And you have to respect that. You know what I mean? So, so when people say that, I have to take issue with it, because I'm like, none of y'all own the team and none of y'all have won Super Bowls. That guy's won Super Bowls. He knows what it's like to win. He has 6 trophies that he grew up in. And so he knows, you have to kind of trust him in that situation. We'll see how the offense expands next year. I'm pretty sure Canada will expand the offense a little bit. And we'll see. We'll see if he starts going it over the middle. We'll see if he does that more. But I'm with Sim. It's hard to believe that. And but people were expecting our offense to be like when Ben's running it and Pickett's going to walk in there and be like Ben. And it's like, kind of doesn't work that way, because I think people have a short memory. When Ben started as a rookie, he didn't throw the ball further than 10 yards the first 5 games. I mean, Bill Cowher was like, run the ball every down, and didn't want Ben to do anything. So if you're gonna do that, then you have to put that same thing on Ben. When he was a rookie. So, and I know people are more advanced, but some of these offenses are college offenses. To me, that's the Canada thing. Canada's transition has to be from running his traditional college offense to being able to expand his offense onto the NFL level, which is what you have to do. You kind of have to combine it. Almost what Shanahan is doing, which is essentially the same offense, is an expansion of that RPO system. But it's just, we have to see. I have to have a little bit more, not patience, but I have to have a wait and see approach to it. And I'm not going to rag on the OC right now. And I'll rag on people. Sim will tell you I have no problem doing that. You know what I mean? But I have to give him a shot. So we'll see. But I'm with Sim. I don't come. It's hard for me to believe that.
Yeah, it's tough to believe that in the literal sense, but I don't know. I just try to speak from both sides, if it's true or if it's not true. If it's true, I don't really like that. But if it's not true, I think maybe we're taking it out of context. So I'll leave it at thoughts.
Yep.
So, all right, man. What happened, man? Somebody said.
Yeah, Rajuan's sis passed away.
Oh, man. Wow.
Well, yo.
Man, super sorry to hear that, brother. Condolences, prayers, all of the above. I mean, you know how that go. You know what? Hold on. Let's give you a quick moment of silence. God bless, man. We here. I know we don't necessarily know each other personally, but we know each other personally, if that makes sense. So, man, even just you being here tonight is kind of showing, how you're just trying to find your way. We appreciate that. Yeah, man. Prayers to you and your family. I know it's a tough time, and do whatever you can to cope. So blessings. Let's get right to it, man. Offseason. What should we do in the offseason as far as top priorities? So if you guys understand what I'm asking, I guess that's going to include our free agents as well as the upcoming free agents from other teams. I'm going to be honest. I don't know all of these free agents. It looks like right tackle is kind of heavy. But the question is going to be, and I'll, me and Kenyon to chop it up, is what positions do we think we need to attack in free agency versus trying to see what you can get in the draft? I know a lot of people are going to say offensive line, but I don't know how to feel about the offensive line. Because actually, you know what? Let's take a step back. We wanted to talk about how the season went. I'll be brief with it because we kind of talked about it throughout the year anyway. The season kind of went exactly how I thought it would go. Y'all know I didn't expect us to win 9 games. I thought this could very well be the first losing season for Tomlin's career. I thought maybe 7-9, or can you go 7-9 still? Or was it 8-9? So I thought, 8-9. 8-9 or 7-10, somewhere around there, especially the way we started out. I mean, it started to become evident to most of us around week 6, week 7. So I didn't expect much. They turned it around. Say what you want about the coaching staff, primarily Mike Tomlin, for everyone who's saying he lost the locker room, yada, yada, yada. Listen, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you turn that season around the way you did. I'm going to give credit to him, the whole staff, and the players. Because what do I always say? Sometimes coaches get too much credit. Sometimes they get too much blame. I'm definitely going to give him a lot of credit for this, but we got to credit the entire staff. Everyone held it together. Clearly, he didn't lose the locker room, and clearly the players still wanted to play, and they were this close from getting to the playoffs. Kenny Pickett got better over the season. I know a lot of people still want to hone in on his interceptions, but come on, man. We're talking about a rookie quarterback that most of you guys said has a weak arm, can't throw, he's not accurate. All of the stuff y'all said, you started seeing him struggle, but then you couldn't understand why that was happening. So, like, which way is it? I think he got better, started protecting the ball, showed his confidence. Late in the season, 2 back-to-back weeks where he produces a winning drive on the road. Well, one of them was on the road. They finished 9-8. Offensive line came around in the last 4 to 5 weeks, and that's kind of where I wanted to get to. I don't know how I feel now about the O-line. I don't know. I'm not saying that they can't improve, but now I'm like, what's the better option? You draft the guy or go free agency? And me personally, I might draft somebody. And here's the reason why. Unless you can get one of these, and I don't know their ages, but let's just say if some of these free agents are younger and you know, let's say if you could get them the same way you got James Daniels, even though James Daniels wasn't great early. But if you can find a dude on that type of contract situation where he's still about 25 and you can get some value years out of him that's in free agency, maybe. But I also think the offensive line played good enough down the stretch to where now you can draft somebody and groom them. And when they're ready, boom. That's kind of how I'm feeling now. Left tackle still has me a little shaky, though. I'm going to be honest.
Interesting.
It's weird, Kenyon, because it's like I don't want to be one of those people that anytime Dan Moore gets, beat, see, he's a bum. I don't want to do that. We still got to remember this dude is in his second season. I keep pulling his headphones out of my ear. Hold on, y'all. There we go. We got to remember he was in his second season, 4th round pick. He has shown some flashes where he could be decent. I won't say great or nothing like that. He does seem to struggle with certain type of edge rushers. So could you potentially bring a guy in there free agency wise to maybe challenge him? Or again, draft a left tackle that you think could be your future, behind Dan Moore? Maybe. At this moment, everyone else I'm not so shaky about. Not even Chooks. Definitely not Mason Cole, but we gotta keep an eye on that too. How long? I don't remember what his contract is, but is this a guy that we're thinking about long term? You know what, Kenya? I got to go back on what I just said.
I was about to say something. I'm just letting you talk.
James Daniels.
I'm gonna wait.
James Daniels. I don't know. I mean, we started running the ball better, but I don't know if I'm sold. I mean, I'm sold on the idea of maybe this offensive line continues to grow. They seem like they all started to click. Run game and pass game, I always said throughout the year, you guys would remember, I said they were doing way better in pass protection than they were run blocking. But then it got to a point where they both started, again, last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, we weren't really giving up sacks or anything. And we was running the ball. Najee was healthy, running hard. Jaylen Warren doing his thing. So you know what? I'm not going to beat Dan Moore up as much. I think I'm going to stick to what I said initially. At this point, maybe you draft a guy who's out there and have him in the waiting, while you can groom him, while you let this offensive line continue to do what they were building on. And that's how I would approach it. I don't know if I would waste my time with a free agent. Only again, because the offensive line looked like they were starting to click a little bit. So you draft as young as you can and groom that guy to potentially take somebody's spot if necessary. So that's how I feel on that. One last thing. I am going to switch up my person of concern just a little bit. Kevin Dotson scares me a little bit. Just a little bit. he seems to be very off and on. So he might have more of the question mark for me than even Dan Moore, only because of what we expected him to be. He wasn't quite that the entire season. And I know we could say, well, it takes time for offensive line to gel. I get that. But I mean, the year before last, Dotson didn't really do that great. So that's how I feel today. I might feel differently tomorrow, but what you think, Kenya?
Okay, I totally have opposite observation of the line, because everything that you said was the same way you and I talked about the beginning of the season about how they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
But the weakest parts of the offensive line that we had concerns with became the strength of the offensive line later on in the season. So the Dan Moore situation, you don't draft. We'll get into this when the draft comes along, but you don't draft. I don't know if you draft somebody there, because here's the problem. He's in his second year. If you draft somebody there, that means you're basically saying you're replacing him. You don't believe in him.
Because you're going to draft him early. It's going to be an early pick.
It's going to be an early pick. It's going to be at 17 or 32 or 40, wherever we're picking up that. So that's my concern. I'm going to just go right down the line. Dotson. If I had an opportunity to draft a guard, I would take it. I like Dotson, but I don't know if he fits the scheme. He's a plower.
Yeah.
I don't know if he fits the scheme, and I agree with you. He is inconsistent. Not a bad player, just inconsistent. And if I can upgrade it, if I can get, I'm just throwing names out there. If Peter Skoronski drops to 17, I'm snatching him. It's not even gonna be a decision. I'm not waiting. I'm picking him up, and he's starting day one automatically. And as far as Mason Cole goes, I saw a couple of centers that I have on my list. I got to watch them a little bit more in depth at the Senior Bowl, and I really like those guys. One kid out of Michigan who I might do that. You know what I mean? But I like, don't get me wrong, I like Mason Cole. Yeah. I love him. So I'm not saying that he get a spot taken. I'm just saying for depth. If you can get somebody like that, you do it. Chooks. Chooks has not played bad. He has not played great. He's just been Chooks.
He better hope Peter not there.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where it's hard, it's tough because there's a couple of people I saw where I'll be like, yeah, I might do that, just to see what's up. James Daniels, low key, all around, might have been the best offensive lineman we had.
He came around. He started picking it up.
Because once he picked it up.
Yeah.
He was past solid. You know what I mean? So, we'll get into this more as the draft approaches. But to me, unless we'll get into it, I don't even want to start going into it because it's a longer conversation. But I might get a veteran. I might sign a veteran. I might get depth. If I can get somebody that's I might get depth. I might do that. And if I can get depth and they end up starting and I can move, because Dan Moore is versatile. And remember, the Steelers value versatility on the offensive line. So if you can play multiple positions, that's even better. It's kind of changed my outlook on prospects because you have to factor that in. You can't just look at somebody that just plays one position. They like versatility. They like guys who can play multiple positions on the line. So we'll get into it as we get closer. But I'll just say, of all the people on the line, Dotson is the person I might say, and he is in the last year of his contract. I might do that. Like I said, if I can get Peter, if I can get Broderick Jones, if I could get any of those dudes, I might do it. You know what I mean? Because they are.
Yeah, man.
real prospects. So I'm just saying, and and for those who think certain people will be gone, you don't know that.
You don't know that.
Because you don't know how the draft's gonna play out. So, and Peter will get penalized for having short arms. That's how they're gonna penalize. Trust me, that's how they're gonna penalize him. But as Sim saw him play. I've seen him play 4 times now. He's technically sound. He's a monster. He's a beast. He doesn't miss blocks. He doesn't mess up. You can't pass rush him. He can play left tackle and left guard, but his best position might be left guard. So we'll get into that. I'll get in depth on him later on. Period. But that's it. I don't even want to go there. That's it.
It's so funny, man, how when we think about our opinion on something, y'all saw how my thought changed as I was speaking, because I was seeing the early part of the season and I kept seeing, remember how much I was getting on Daniel, and I was like, wait a minute, when Daniel actually came around.
Yeah.
And it was more Kevin Dotson. And even, here's another thing. I remember some of them later weeks, Dotson and Moore kind of held that left side down. It was a game or two where we was just running to the left and we was mauling. So it's always tough, man, because you don't want to have the highlight mentality. You got to look at the totality of how things came together. That offensive line really came together late. So now, and that's why I love bouncing ideas off of you guys and Kenyon, because now Kenyon made me think about something else. Depth. Like, maybe not necessarily, that's what a free agent sometimes can do for you. You don't necessarily have to be the top guy, but get some depth, because we don't have much behind those guys. I mean, y'all remember Kendrick Green and John LeGlue and whoever else, like JC is the only one that, I might keep him around because he's versatile. At least he can hold you down in a pinch. But yeah, you got to think about
Kendrick Green's future.
We know how we probably would approach that.
Yep.
Let me see. What is another position? Let me ask you this. We're going to need to do something at inside linebacker.
Yep.
Devin Bush, has kind of been sometimes, if I could be honest about him for 2 seconds, I don't like his nonchalant attitude sometimes, man. I mean, I know you ain't supposed to show your hand, but the way he just, I'm going to be in the NFL either way. Like, he don't show no real commitment. What he doesn't know is that's not showing a commitment to anything. Even if I wasn't a Steeler, if I was a team looking to sign you, I'm like, yeah, see, he got that nonchalant attitude. Like, he's probably gone. And I know some people are going to say good, but whenever you say that, you got to remember we got to replace these spots. Devin Bush might not have been great, but there was games that he helped out because he was a part of the rotation. So you have to look at it like this. I believe Spillane is a free agent. For everybody who doesn't like Spillane, what do y'all want to do? You want to lose 2 inside linebackers and only have Miles Jack and Mark Robinson? Because I know what y'all going to say. Just let Mark Robinson start. He still needs some competition, or he still needs some grooming. But even if you said it was going to be him and Jack, assuming that the Steelers keep Jack for the second year, you need some help. So the question is, who's out there? I'll just read a few names. Yeesh. Ain't looking too good. There's Deion Jones, Levante David, who's now a little older, Devin Bush, Anthony Walker Jr., Dirty Red. Your real Steelers fan should know who that is, and I ain't even got to say his name. Tremaine Edmonds. That is one I would love to see.
Cost too much.
There you go. I was about to say, but are we really going? And here's the thing. You think Buffalo might want to re-sign him? Like, we have to consider all of that. We'll see. Denzel Perryman, Corey Littleton, Cal Van Noy, Alex Anzalone. I like Anzalone. He plays in a what? A 4-3 or 3-4?
4-3.
Neville Hewitt, Ezekiel Turner, Quan Alexander, Raekwon McMillan, Jayon Brown, Dylan Cole, Jarrett Davis. I'm familiar with him too. He played at Detroit.
Yeah.
John Bostic, Micah Kaiser, and Nick. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
What's the kid at San Francisco? I
don't see either one of those guys on here.
There's a kid at San Francisco. There's a San Francisco inside linebacker that's a free agent.
Not Greenlaw, right?
Hold
on. Well, it should show me. I mean, assuming this list is accurate, it might not be accurate, but I don't see anybody from the Niners on here.
Could be wrong, but I think I saw that. But yeah, you can keep going.
So out of those people who, I mean,
you want a real answer? You want the real talk answer?
Mm-hmm.
It re-signs Spillane.
Yep, there you go.
I mean, basically, you re-sign Spillane and you draft an inside linebacker. You have Mark Robinson. You see how he develops. You keep. If you draft an inside linebacker, there are three that I think could immediately impact the Steelers. If you do that, then you can cut Miles Jack and save money. It's $11 million.
A lot of bread.
If I can get again going into prospects, I don't want to do this. But just to throw a name out there, if you get Trenton Simpson will be there, and he might be there at 32. So if I can get Trenton Simpson, I re-sign Spillane, I cut Miles Jack, I let Bush go, I have Mark Robinson, I bring in Trenton Simpson. So now I still have a 3 linebacker rotation. I can sign another free agent inside linebacker just for on the cheap, and I have a little depth. But that's just one name. We'll get more deep into it later. There are more linebackers that I believe can fit in that can contribute and be really good in our system. So I'm just giving you one name, but that's what I would do. Because Robert Spillane has earned what he's gotten.
Mm-hmm. He has.
I mean, you can say what you want. He's the smartest linebacker in the room as far as the inside linebackers. He's smarter than everybody else. He's always in position. He's just not super athletic as you would want him to be. But he will put his head into the mud. He doesn't care. He would do it more than Bush would. He does it more than Miles Jack would. So him and Mark Robinson together, and you draft somebody, I can live with that. I don't think this is one of those drafts where I'm gonna worry about trying to get 2 studs. We have too many things to do. You know what I mean? So as far as free agency go, there's nobody on the free agency market that I would like. I mean, Jermaine Pratt's out there. You can probably get him. He's solid. But as far as Jermaine, that's too much money, man. Too much money for a linebacker that's, he's 30? Is he 30 yet?
Let me see. Let me go back to him. Because Terrell's got to be about 26, 25? Right. He says he's, wow.
How old is he?
It said he's only 20, it says 24.8. Wait a minute, they can't be that close in age, can they?
You know what? He's younger. He's the youngest one. I just thought about that.
Oh, okay.
Remember, he's the youngest. So
I didn't realize that. Okay.
I just think he'll be priced out. There's no way you can pay him. Omar Khan's not doing that because he's trying to build the team up. So, yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, nah. Great player. Love to have him. But nah.
And he's a guy that I think can adapt, regardless of what, because Buffalo plays a 4-3, I believe.
Hybrid.
I think he could adapt to a 3-4, no problem.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next position, I think, and what I'm giving you guys as far as position is just to be clear. My concerns right now, off season, whether it's free agency or the draft, is something on the offensive line, inside linebacker, cornerback would be my next concern. Because we got to remember, Cam Sutton is a free agent. William Jackson III was a guy that we acquired during the season and didn't even play. That trade right there really pissed me off because I believe that they had to kind of know what the medicals were. And he's 30 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So he's an older corner. When I look at this list, I mean, it's too many names to even read off, but just the names are older guys. Marcus Peters is like, they got him as probably the lead guy. He's 30. Exactly. He's 30, and we probably don't want to do that. Bradley Roby is 30. James Bradbury is 29 and a half. I think Bradbury, and again, it's cool, man, because, I've always told you guys about my wife's cousin is Jesse Bates' agent, but also he's Bradbury's agent as well. So I've always kind of watched those guys, just because of the linkage. I'm happy for him, man, because, people are going to remember what happened in the Super Bowl, but that dude, from where he came from and switching teams a couple times to actually going to Philly, and he balled out. He played really well alongside Slay, so that was cool. But again, I don't know if this is a guy that we would be interested in. Jonathan Jones from New England, if you remember that. He's 29. Anthony Brown is 29. Emmanuel Mosley, 26. I don't know much about him. Cam Sutton is 27.9. And then you start getting old. Patrick Peterson. Guess who else? It's 27.8. Artie Burns. Byron Murphy. See, these are these interesting guys. A guy like Byron Murphy is 25. He's a free agent. Has he been great? Is this somebody you would take a chance with? Maybe.
Debatable.
Guys like Rocky Sin, Trey Flowers, Sean Bunting. That's a kid from Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah.
Trayvon Mullen. That's an interesting one.
Oh, from Clemson.
Yep. And I didn't realize he was with Baltimore. He's 25. Who else is Shandon Sullivan is 26. Greedy Williams is a free agent. Remember when we thought the Steelers was going to draft him?
Yeah.
Bryce Callahan, a little too old. I mean, it's a bunch of names here, guys, but I guess my question is, not even my question. I think a statement that I'll make here is I do think they're going to take one of these guys are going to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers out of this long list. I have a feeling because it's almost like you need depth. So this list is so long. Sidney Jones is on it. I mean, it's so long. I think one of these guys. Actually, hold on. I'm bugging. We're using this software. I can show y'all. Let me show y'all really quick. I could just share the screen. So here's the list. I'm just going to scroll down as I'm talking here. Bunch of names. But actually, Kenyon, I'm going to say the unpopular opinion. I actually think they should draft a corner.
That's unpopular? That's unpopular?
Oh, yeah. You know why it's unpopular.
Oh.
The Steelers can't evaluate corners, And I get it. Maybe it's a luck thing, but I feel like you got to take somebody, in my opinion, in one of them first 3 picks, if the guy is out there.
Right.
Because remember, Steeler Nation, the would-be starters is a guy that we didn't necessarily want on the outside.
Exactly.
Played well last year. but he's a free agent. And Cam Sutton, is he going to come back? We don't know. Akello Witherspoon, what happened to him? He could not get back on the field. William Jackson III.
Never saw him.
Never saw him. And
who am I? Depending on his cap hit, you have to ask yourself, will they bring him back? I guess my thing would, I don't know if I'm out on William Jackson like that, because why would you trade for him if you're just gonna cut him?
Right.
But then it's financial. You save money by doing that. And William Jackson, while I would love to see him play, he never really got the shot because of his injury. Akello Witherspoon, seen enough.
Levi Wallace.
Levi Wallace is there. He's gonna be there. So
he played well.
He played very well. Got better as the season went along, actually.
Look at this. James Pierre is a free agent. However you feel about him.
You can bring him back. I think personally, if I'm the Steelers, I'm going to re-sign anybody. It's probably Cam Sutton.
Yeah,
I'm probably re-signing Cam Sutton, and I'm drafting the cornerback. I agree with Sam, and that's what my dilemma is this year for the draft. My dilemma is this: do you draft a cornerback? And for those who say Steelers can't draft cornerbacks, that can't really be true. It's really a generational thing. It just depends on who the GM is, and as Sim said, drafting luck, and if you're lucky or not. Our former GM tried to draft cornerbacks. It just, for some reason, it didn't work. They got hurt. They weren't that great. It is what it is. For all the good things the Steelers could do with drafting wide receivers, they weren't having that same look of cornerbacks. But Omar Khan is running the show now. It's a different regime.
Yeah. That's
the thing you have to understand. And so for me, at 17, what do you do at 17? Do the cornerbacks fall in this draft? The main top three, I would say the top three guys. And what do you do at that situation? Because that's my dilemma. If I can get as I said earlier, Peter Skoronski at 17, I'm snatching. But if I can't, and I'm in position to get Joey Porter Jr., Devin Witherspoon, or Christian Gonzalez, and I've been watching Oregon. We haven't had, with Sim being out, I was able to watch Oregon even a lot more. I watched them a lot, but I just went to go brush up on Christian Gonzalez. And I'm just going to say this. Athletically, he's a gifted kid. He's 6'2", 205. He's gifted. I'm talking about really gifted. He has missed tackle issues, but you probably can fix that. But he will try to hit you. Devin Witherspoon is shorter than them, but he plays. To be honest with you, he kind of reminds me of a Ravens cornerback. Like when I watch him play, like that's how he plays. You know what I mean? But he's great too. Joey Porter, of course, it's the family thing. It's the father-son thing, and he's great too. He's athletic. Of the three, I think Chris Gonzalez has the most upside. I think Witherspoon is ready, and he got that dog in him, and you can't teach dog. You're either born with it or you're not.
Yep.
It's just a fact. I know people try to no, you can't learn that. This is not the Matrix. You cannot download dog. You either have it or you don't. And I think that he has that. But Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter to me are like this. Depends. It's like a flip of the coin, depending on how I feel that day. Christian Gonzalez, 2 years in Colorado, 1 year at Oregon. I'm telling you, he's a freak. So he's legit. And then there's more. I'm not getting into this because I have at least 12 prospects, but I'll get into this later. But those are the three people I would, at this moment. That's all. I would re-sign Cam, and I would probably draft for him. And it might have to be at 17. So, like, really, I might have to really think about that at 17.
Yeah, man. And the funny thing is, man, we saw that report a couple weeks ago where they were saying that the draft process is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's That's Khan and wait. Is it Weidel, or however you say his name. I think it's a lot of these guys. Might have a different philosophy. So you don't. What you can kind of do, and I'll just borrow a little bit from Steelers Depot. I know they said this probably a month or two ago. You could pretty much, you might be balling up the Kevin Colbert way of drafting and throwing it out the window.
Yep.
It's not a disrespect to Colbert or Tomlin. You know, those two guys had their process, but now I would imagine Tomlin and Khan and whoever else, they all going to build a new process because clearly you've already seen Khan just in his GMing during the season how he's approaching things. So I'm very interested in seeing what the philosophy will be, you know, now with the draft. And I don't think you live in the past. Honestly, guys, I don't think you do the whole Steelers, they just can't draft the corner. I don't believe in just stop doing it. I believe in one of these are going to hit because we have drafted some good edge rushers, but there was a time, there was a small run where they was busting. You know, and some of the dudes, Bud Dupree came around late, but now look, he hasn't done much in Tennessee. You know, Jarvis Jones. I mean, there was a time when people were starting to say, "What's happening with the Steelers?" You know, that's supposed to be a linebacker, an edge rusher university, and they not hitting.
Yeah, and Bud might get cut. Bud might get cut. So he might look. Don't be surprised if he tries to get back in the black and gold. And
yeah.
I'm just saying. I agree with Sim. Look, Sim made the greatest point of all. You go through these lows. There was a period of time when Steelers couldn't draft wide receivers.
Yeah. Then
it became wide receiver. You know, look. When I was young, all I knew was the Steelers could draft cornerbacks. Because I was, growing up, you got Mel Blount. Then as you get older, later in life, you see Rob Wilson. So they were able to do it in their lifetime, in my lifetime, and even in Sim's lifetime, because they got cornerbacks then. You know what I mean? During that period of time when they won Super Bowls. So it's just a low. They just went through a drought of being able to draft what you would call a starting cornerback, but a number one cornerback. But
yeah,
I agree with Sim. It's going to be. They're going to make their mark their own way. Omar Khan's going to do a little bit different than Colbert, and we'll see. So we'll get more in depth in that, but that's pretty much how I feel right now. There's three in my head. So
and sometimes you do have to consider, and I hate saying this because it's almost like a contradiction to one of my other points. But sometimes you do look at the prospect and where you take them.
Yeah.
You know, you find these gems sometimes, and like a Mike Hilton being able to craft his position, what he does it well. You find guys like that every now and then, but a lot of times with the corners and stuff, it is some of those top tier guys come right in and play like they're supposed to play. The Jalen Ramseys of the world, Sauce Gardners of the world, these type of dudes. Steelers ain't never really been in a position where they're going to grab a guy like that. These dudes are usually in the top 15 at least. Not to say you can't find someone later, because there are stories out there right now, these later round corners, but I'm just saying it's always hit or miss. Steelers have had some decent corners. I remember guys even like Keenan Lewis. I think Keenan Lewis was a sneaky good pick. Played good ball for us, and we just didn't re-sign him. Brian McFadden, there's been times where we had some decent guys out there. It's just in recent years, we remember Artie Burns, which is fair. And there's my timer going off, guys. So we'll do a few more minutes, but I think you got to swing for the fences, man. It's almost like the basketball reference. You miss every shot that you don't take. You have to. If a guy is sitting there and he's a top prospect, and like Kenya said, one of those three dudes will probably be there. If you just think about how the draft goes, I don't think three corners are gone by 17. Got to do it. That might be the most, I'm surprised I'm saying this, but as I look at it and sit here today, that might be one of the most important positions for us to draft this year. Because we already went through the scenarios about the offensive line, how you can patch it up with depth or draft a guy later. Because Kenya made an excellent point. I didn't even think about that. You can't draft a left tackle early because unless you're completely out on Dan Moore. Now, Peter's different. You know, Peter could come in, play right tackle, or if you want to move him to another position, if he replaced Chooks, I don't know if too many people are mad at that. You know, let them battle it out. But left tackle is a little more, You know, Chooks has been here. He's had his time. Same with left guard. Inside linebacker. I guess a credible guy would be there in the first round as well, but the value position is probably going to be corner.
Right.
You know, so.
Or wide receiver.
Or wide receiver. Yeah, see, that's another position that I wasn't really thinking about, but.
Because my thing is I'm listening to Colbert. I'm listening to what Rooney said. And he made a point. He said we have to try to get him more weapons. Now, there's always the name that people throw out there. They've been throwing out since week 3. But it's the same. It's kind of like the same. We have a receiver like that on our roster. And I think people are quick to forget that we did draft Calvin Austin III. He got injured. If he wouldn't have got injured, he probably would have saw the field. He's the fastest receiver on the roster. And everybody at practice has already said that. He's faster than everybody else. He's dynamic. So, you know, if you're trying to get a slot, that's what you get. I mean, Calvin Austin, and we have to see him play. I mean, it's like a redshirt year. It's almost like we have a draft pick. We draft a receiver. So receiver will be in the. I think they'll talk about it, but I agree with Sim. I think it's corner, O-line. Especially, I'm just talking about 17, pick 17. I think they will address D-line, and as we get further, there'll be more prospects we'll talk about. As you guys know in the chat, me and Sim are going to start to get on this. I'm going to send them my list, and we're going to start breaking it down. But I agree with Sim. I think receivers are a possibility. And unless you can get an edge, if you can get an edge, a third edge, but see, I don't want to draft the edge at 17 either because.
Not at 17.
Because I just think that we're good there. So we need depth. And, you know, I guess safety could be in play if you're not re-signing Edmonds. I think they're going to re-sign Casey.
Yeah.
I think I'll bring Casey back. Look, I would bring Edmonds back. But if I can get a safety that high, I don't know what the value is. I don't know who the highest value safety is. I think it would be Branch out of Alabama, who's versatile. He can play slot. He kind of play all three. I guess he would be somebody, but it's so early. Free agency will really put focus into what I think they'll do in the draft. And, but yeah, that's it. That's it for right now. I mean,
you think they would put KZ at strong full time? And the way that defense is constructed.
No.
So if not, that's a question mark right there. If they don't re-sign Edmonds, right, which I think they will. If they don't, that's interesting because if you believe what Kenyon is saying, I actually believe that too. I think KZ. Now, understand what I'm saying. I think Kenyon got it without me having to break it down. You saw 3 safeties on the field. KZ was always playing in the post, or he was playing back deep with Minka, and they'd roll up Edmonds. So when I say traditional strong safety, I'm not just thinking like base. You got your post safety and your strong. I'm talking about times where he has to be in the box, not playing deep. And if he does that, then who's back there? And now you're talking about Trey Norwood playing with Minka, or bringing in another guy. So I think that's where Kenyon is going to. If we don't believe that KZ would be like just the base strong safety, then if Edmonds doesn't come back, safety's in play. Now, I don't know if it's in play at 17, but it could be in play in them first 3 picks. So, and this comment here, and yeah, Carmichael, I did see your donation, man. Really, really appreciate that. I'll read your comment really quick, and then I want to read the one that's on the screen. Carmichael says, Khan is a cap guy, and Waddell has scout background. So, yeah, I think right there, that's going to definitely – a scout's mind when it comes to drafting, I think it's going to be interesting having that piece, even though we've always had it, with Hunt and guys like that, but still, Waddell's role and Khan running the show along with Tomlin. It is going to be interesting, man. I hope we can identify the changes. It'll be cool to see that. But the last comment I definitely want to read here, man. He says, In the Green says, I stopped trying to figure out what the Steelers are going to do in the draft because everybody and their mama thought the Steelers were going to take Malik Willis last year, and you couldn't be any closer to the truth because that is an absolute fact. I will always remember my reaction, Kenya's reaction, Devin's reaction.
I was not. It didn't affect me the same way. I never. Me and Sam talked about it, but I never was sold on that because I always feel like, why would they do that? You know what I mean? And then I was thinking, we liked him, we loved him, but it didn't bother me like that because I was always like, now Sim, there was Sims, he was texting me, he was all in. Yo, Malik Willis.
Take him if he did.
What? I'm like, okay, so I roll with you. But for me, it didn't really bother me because I was like, they could or they could not. Does he fit what they're trying to do, what Canada was trying to do? Yes, he fits perfectly. But you can't predict who somebody's going to pick at a certain pick. All you can do is you can round certain players around that number, but you can't, unless they're picking one, and it's definitely need, top 5, definitely need, then you can't try to forecast the pick. So I would say to that comment, don't listen to analysts like that. Try to watch people and just see what the Steelers do traditionally. And that really kind of gives you a blueprint. So they knew they were getting a quarterback and they liked Pickett because he was, and look, if you look back on it now, they were right. Because Malik Willis is going to take time to develop.
They were right, man. And that's what I was just about to say. Kenyon beat me to it. Whether you think Malik, and again, remember, guys, I was sold on potential upside. The Lamar Jackson, cloudiness, saying, man, you get a guy who can take off like that and can throw, but I think he'll be a better deep ball thrower earlier. You could get a Lamar type of guy with more passing ability early that you still got to shape. So that's what I was sold on. Like, man, Malik Willis upside at that moment,
right?
That was the limit. But after watching a whole season of Kenny and seeing, again, a lot of y'all laugh at me when I say moxie. That means a lot to me. Y'all know how I love my mentality with running backs, their demeanor. I say the same thing with quarterbacks with their moxie and how they approach the game. When you start seeing how this dude approached it, how the moment wasn't too big for him, he's going to make his rookie mistakes. We get all of that. But when you see how this dude approaches the game and you see where he can be skillful, if he just gets the other stuff that he needs to work on, and those 2 drives, that did a lot for me seeing how he handled those moments, man, late in the season, games that we needed to win, and made excellent throws on those situations.
Yeah.
Particularly that one to George Pickens against whoever that was we was playing,
right.
Who we were playing against, but the Raiders, I think.
Right.
Come on, man. Like, that showed me, okay, Steelers, I'll back off. Y'all knew what y'all were doing. Okay. I see what I think y'all saw, and y'all think that y'all can build on. So, again, whether you like Malik Willis over him or not, I don't think we can deny. Okay, I see why they went with Pickett. I see what they saw.
And also, to build on your point, I told Sam this 2 years ago before we started watching Malik Willis. I was like, the next year draft, those quarterbacks are people that you would kind of focus on. You know what I mean? With Bryce Young and the CJ Strouds and them coming out. And to be honest with you, I might be a little early because of the court. If we were so gung ho of Malik Willis, if I'm gonna be gung ho of a quarterback like that, and I'm gonna really try to get somebody, whatever, I will try to. Sim, you shouldn't have put MT Moose. He's trolling you. Every time he does that, he's trolling. He does that all the time. He doesn't. Don't engage with him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's look, of the quarterbacks we saw, the only quarterback that I would even think about that is the quarterback that's at USC. Now that dude, you do that for. You know what I mean? That's when you do stuff like that for. That dude right there. Because he is everything that you think he is. You know what I'm saying? And more. And he's Malik Willis, except he's good. He's great already. So, but yeah, Pickett showed the strides that I need to see. He has so much growth in him left that I'm just excited to see what he could become. And yeah, you know what I mean? And if I can see, once I see him, because to me, I haven't seen him really throwing the deep ball like that. I haven't seen him throwing this and that a lot. But he can have a jump like Joe Burrow. He's not going to be Joe Burrow. They're different quarterbacks. But what I'm saying is that he can have that type of jump where he can grow with the offense. And I'm just excited to see it. And the Steelers believe in him. And look, I'm there. I'm there with him. I'm along for the ride. So I'm just trying to be positive about it. I'm kind of excited to see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, man, as much as I support, I've said plenty of times why I always will support Lamar Jackson. Y'all should know that story. Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the division, bro. Like, honestly, it might not even be close at this moment.
Nope, it's not close.
And we can mess around and have a turnaround like that in the second season. I'm sold. I'll go as far as say this, and some of y'all are going to say this is an oxymoron type of statement because he hasn't won a Super Bowl. If Kenny Pickett comes back and plays like Joe Burrow, the Steelers are going to win a Super Bowl in the next 3 to 4 years, 3 to 5 maybe.
I agree.
I can see that. And again, I know Joe Burrow hasn't won one, but I'm just saying, if our team could get that type of quarterback consistently with the defense that we are continuing to try to build and infusing a decent run game in there, we would be a problem.
Yep.
Same reason why Cincinnati is a problem. They just got beat. They didn't get there, but again, social media will tell you, oh, he chokes in the big. Stop, man. The dude is a good quarterback. You have bad games. Sometimes you meet your match. It's hard to beat the same team. I mean, how many times had they already beat the Chiefs?
And they're on the road.
On the road.
People don't seem to forget that.
He didn't play bad.
He didn't play bad.
In that game. It was some drop balls and everything in that game, but I'm telling you, if we get something like that out of Kenny, again, I'm not comparing them. We get that type of quarterback play, I think the Steelers will get to a Super Bowl over the next 3 to 5 years. No doubt. Because, again, we just saw the Bengals march themselves there and then almost got there again. If we had that type of quarterback on our team this past season, with the defense being good enough, we might have got there.
Yeah.
So, but guys, I got to wrap it up, man. The missus has just come to remind me. Got some things to knock out tonight, but yeah. This was a great show, and like Kenya said, he's not going to dive, or we're not going to dive too far into prospects yet. I have homework to do. Kenyon is going to send me the list. We'll get all of that done. We'll pretty much wait until free agency happens, and I think that'll be a perfect time. Maybe after the first week, we'll come back to another SteelTable and reflect on that, but then start. See, what I always like to do, Kenyon is great with getting the information early, even during the season. And I like to wait to see what we do in free agency so I can target, all right, I think they're going to do this in the draft. They'll probably get this in the draft. Because once we see them address certain areas in free agency, it helps you more be like, all right, now I think I know where they're going. So there you have it. MT Mooch. Thank you for the donation there. What did he say? I gotta read it because he round of applause. He says, "Oh, here he goes."
No applause. No applause. Talking about round of applause.
So let me get this straight. I'm gonna read your comment, but he says I would trade Watt for a lot of value and save money. So in this same show tonight, you have traded TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Exactly.
Okay.
What is this, Madden?
Thanks, but no thanks, sir. We appreciate you, but no.
Look, man, he's not real talk. He's not a Steelers fan because he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. That's why he's talking about trading everybody. You know what I mean? He's not a Steelers fan. He lives in Texas. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan because he's admitted it in the chat. Said he has divided loyalty. How can you be divided loyalty between the Steelers and the Cowboys? I mean, you gotta pick a side, man. Nah, man, I don't roll like that. You know what I'm saying? Like me saying, nah, man, nah. Come on, MT, you gotta do better than that.
That's crazy, brother.
It's Valentine's Day, man.
You lost your mind, brother. Yeah, it's Valentine's Day, man. So
it's Valentine's Day, man.
I meant to say that earlier for the lovely ladies in the chat. Happy Valentine's Day. I will make a joke about all of us who are here. Clearly, none of us doing nothing for Valentine's. We all here. But ladies, I hope y'all had a great one. If no one else wished you one, here it is from me. Happy Valentine's Day. Fellas, y'all know I'm not wishing y'all no happy nothing. So y'all just be good. Like they said back in the day, right on. But all right, man. I'm gonna get out of here. Kenyon, I'm gonna get right off of here. So just let you know, we usually chop it up.
Yeah. I'm out anyway because I got a session, if you know what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. we always find a way. Yeah, all right, you go and get out of here, man. But all right, man. Y'all be good. God bless.
Everybody, happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Hit the like button. Catch y'all next week. Peace.